Good afternoon, everyone. And again, hope everyone had a great, thankful Thanksgiving. And so we're meeting here again with our Kankakee County NAACP law enforcement meeting, December 4th, 2024. And it's always good to see Miss Rhonda Showers and others, but it's special to see Rhonda. So you guys had your mental health piece, was last week or when was it? She can't talk.
Tables next week.
Oh, it's next week. I knew it was, okay, good. Good.
Navigating conflict at Christmas.
Okay, thank you. To my far left, we want to start with Natalie Ojeda with President Natalie, followed by State's Attorney. Introduction, Natalie.
Natalie Ojeda, Senator Joyce's office and Hispanic Partnership.
Jim Rose, State's Attorney's Office.
Chris Breach with the Daily Journal.
Myron Riley, Kankakee County Response Team.
Rhonda Showers, the Kankakee County Response Team and the Mental Health Network.
Brad Peterson, cybersecurity student, Olivet Nazarene University.
Austin Beggs, computing technologies, Olivet Nazarene University.
Good.
Regenius, felony court bailiff.
Al Swinford, Manteno Police Department.
Eric Springer, Chief of Police, Kankakee Community College Police Department.
Chris Kidwell, Kankakee Police Department.
Donnell Austin, Kankakee Police Department.
Mr. Gessner.
Chad Gessner, Kankakee County Sheriff's Office.
Bob Mason, Bradley PD.
Steve Hunter, County Board, NAACP, Hispanic Partnership, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Paulette Crank, NAACP.
Jeanette Jones, Health Chair for NAACP.
Theodis Pace, President of the NAACP of Kankakee County.
Mike Downey, Kankakee County Sheriff.
Again, I'd like to welcome everyone. This is a busy time of year for all of us. We have still a lot of work to be done, and I just want to take 3 minutes to talk about our involvement. Lieutenant Mason, Sheriff Swinford, Chief Swinford, Sheriff Downing, and the inception of law enforcement, along with we need to revisit next year, we need to revisit the 10 shared principles. The sheriff and I talked last week about some things that's happening across the state, and hopefully later our state's attorney, Mr. Rowe, will give us a little brief summary of Sean Grayson pre-trial and being in Springfield with the shooting of Sonia Massey. But here in Kankakee County, those individuals who attended the NAACP Gala on Saturday, October 26th, I made a statement that such an incident that happened in Springfield with the Deputy Grayson would not happen here in Kankakee County. The answer is why. It's because of the individuals in this room. It's because of the relationship that we have across the county with law enforcement. It's because that we can communicate with each other. Not that we're going to always agree, but the line of communication is open. That's a plus. It's because I just heard the sheriff talking with Lieutenant Mason about the academy. We're talking about the training, talking with Deputy Chief Austin, talking to Chief Kidwell. How many times that you can pick up the phone and you can call Chief Swinford, Lieutenant Mason? It's because of those relationships. Not each and every other month that we would even get the publicity where you would get one of your local media reporters to attend a meeting. So it's about those relationships that we have, and we're going to have to continue to extend that because of the Safety Act and how other people view what's going on nationally here. So I just wanted to say that. On item 4, we'll forego with the minutes, but with item 4, the next training is it next Saturday? December 18th. Mr. What's your trainer? Baston, and I think we're going to have a great turnout for that particular meeting and training. I thought maybe Donna Sample would be here today. Yes, ma'am. Mike.
Oh, response team meeting?
Yes.
I think that's the 14th, December 14th.
14th, yeah. Okay, it's the 14th, and it's at KCC, isn't it? Okay, right. So I talked with Donna earlier in the week, again, regarding the training. Again, as we continue to have and expose individuals of what's transpiring here in Kankakee County. So with that, I want to start with Chief Swinford, the sheriff, and Chief Kidwell regarding our updates, where we are. Also, Chief Springer, our updates on body cams, training, and talking to the Illinois State NAACP Chairperson, Criminal Justice Chair, Mr. Bob Moore, wanted to really share and chiefs to talk about the consent to search and the traffic stop was transpiring across the state. Okay, so, all right, Chief Swinford.
What do you want to start with, body cams?
Yes, sir.
That's pretty much status quo. I think we're fully implemented, been so for a few years. Use them regularly. We've never had really any issues with them at all. Other than freedom of information requests, we get a lot, but other than that, they're working well. They're doing what they're meant to do.
Okay. Sheriff, anything, update?
Just say, in addition to what Chief Swinford said, for those that don't know, we did implement body cameras in the jail. Every correctional officer on duty has a body camera on. They have been very helpful from the standpoint of reaction from the detainees. So it's been a plus, and again, as we've always said, they'll back the staff 99.9% of the time. So we're happy we got them.
Chief Kidwell, followed by Chief Springer.
Sure. Just to expound on what the sheriff and Chief Swinford said, yeah, it's a big help to us. We probably, I would say, use them probably more than anybody in the county as far as letting people see them. We have no problem. Generally, if there's a question, we invite them in. I know we've invited you in. We've invited other individuals in, Kankakee County Response Team, when there was questions on the officer's conduct or just questions in the traffic stop or the contact. We've brought them into the Detective Bureau and sat down and walked them through it. So it's a big benefit to us. The officers like them. We like them. It's great for reviewing, so great for training as well.
Right. Before we continue, I'd like for everyone to really talk into the mic, and the reason why County Board Member Hunter, Ms. Jones, and Ms. Crink, they be involved with the state. We actually have individuals across the state watching our meetings. We all also know Peoria has been here along with, was it Danville? So we have branches is trying to implement what are we doing here, and to establish that relationship with law enforcement. Chief Springer.
Yeah, each of my officers are also body cam, and they have played a big role in clearing officers of accusations on the campus. Also, I have an officer who's in the academy now, transitioning from part-time to full-time. She's in a 2-week academy. She should be done next 2 weeks.
Okay, so my question to, oh, really? So my question to each one of you all, is it really been beneficial? And Chief Kidwell, I know those two young ladies and the response team have actually reviewed video with you and Deputy Chief Alston. So have it, other than Kankakee, is it really been beneficial when individuals question a traffic stop, Chief Swinford, and you can go back to review that along with the county or community college as well?
Yeah, it's been extremely beneficial. We did that, just like Chief Kidwell was saying, several times when we first got body cameras. People would complain, and we'd come in and show them the video, and it almost always resolved that situation. We have not had to do that now in the last couple of years. I think it's just modified people's behavior so much that we just don't have those kind of complaints nearly as much. And they know we're wearing them, so they know we're going to have the video, and it modifies the officer's behavior as well. So it's a win-win. We just don't have as many complaints as we used to.
So, Sheriff?
Yeah, we had one just, it might have been a month or so ago, and I think people forget when they're encountering the police how they act, and sometimes if they get told something, sorry, I'll talk into the mic, if they get told something they don't want to hear, I think that makes the officer in their mind rude. That was our last complaint, was our officer didn't treat them with any respect, blah, 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 blah. Of course, it's so easy now because you go back and review the body camera, and our officer did nothing wrong. And so what the body camera has done both on the street and in the jail is it's taken away that he said, she said, or he said, he said. I mean, it's right there on video. On the other hand, the one thing that I think we're all dealing with is trying to pay for the storage. That is going to be problematic. I mean, right now we're okay with it, but as we continue to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars every year for storage, those things are going to catch up to us. They're going to catch up to City. They're going to catch up to Manteno. They're going to catch up with the college and Bradley. They're going to catch up with police agencies because of the cost of storage, which is what we always said. So, Natalie, if you could talk to the senator and have him get us some money, we would greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
One of the things, too, is hats off to Jim Rose's office because they're using the body camera footage in these cases in court. And when they go to court, that spreads the word pretty quick amongst the streets that these body cameras are helping convict these people in court. So the evidence that's being provided through these cameras is beneficial, and it's starting to spread on the streets that these things are out.
Okay, that's good. Yes, sir.
Just to make a comment about the body cams, I think probably the key word is transparency in terms of those various departments. Some of us, through the response team and other individuals, have received complaints and actually have had firsthand review of the videos and so forth, which tends to refute some of the assertions which are made based on the complaints we get. So I think transparency is the hallmark of the body cams, because facts and data and the videos don't lie, and they can't be manipulated. And what I really appreciate is that we probably in the vanguard at this branch in terms of having the relationships which you alluded to, Mr. President, in terms of being able to interface with law enforcement, being able to talk to them at a moment's glance. Additionally, Kankakee City, for example, and I was just mentioning to Chief Kidwell, haven't gotten any texts lately regarding at 0800 such and such an address, there was a shooting and blah, blah, blah. So we appreciate the interface. And because, you know, with social media now, my God, you know, there's all kind of assertions and things are put in that medium but we get the facts, the official report of what transpired, as opposed to the BS that's on social media regarding certain situations. So I appreciate the relationship and the willingness for law enforcement to interface with us to get the truth of the matter. So that is really helpful. Additionally, let me say something further. I know, Sheriff Downey, you're really tied into the Illinois Sheriff's Association. Might there be a possibility, and Pace, this probably addresses some things that you may be able to do as well, in terms of legislation for, because I know some of us have gone to some of those meetings with the chiefs of police and so forth, and I didn't make the last meeting you had in Peoria, but is there a possibility that there could be legislation in terms of law enforcement, all of the different departments statewide being mandated to adopt the 10 shared principles? Did you give any thought to that?
I mean, legislation-wise, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they could legislate. Nothing, I know that the Sheriff's Association is looking more at legislation to improve the Safety Act, which obviously the 10 shared principles are a good part of. I mean, but yeah, I mean, they can legislate anything they want, but whether they do it or not is another thing.
Well,
Let me finish on the body-worn cameras, just a reminder. So the small agencies in the state of Illinois have until January of 2025, which is in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, to come into compliance. And I'm sure that there will be smaller agencies throughout the state of Illinois who may struggle for this because of lack of significant revenue to buy them and to store the data. And with those small agencies, also the Illinois State Police are also mandated to have their body-worn cameras by January 1 of 2025 as well. So I would hope that we would see that on January 1 as required, that the Illinois State Police comply with the laws that our legislature passed. So,
to answer your, Chief Swinford.
I just want to say one more thing about the body cameras as well. You know, obviously the law is requiring it now, so everybody's doing it. But there were several agencies in this county that were doing it well before there was a law that required it because they saw the value of it. But the sheriff implemented these things in the jail. It had to be over 10 years ago. And I think that was really cutting edge at the time, and he saw the value of it. And it set a really good example, I think, for everybody. But as far as I know, he was the first one to do that in anywhere close by. It's been many years ago, so.
To answer Mr. Hunter's question, within the last month regarding the 10 share principle, the state NAACP have had the O'Fallon down in St. Clair County have signed on to the 10 share principles, and we also have a meeting set up with Bloomington Normal to also have the 10 share principle. So we'll actually continue to move throughout the state, requiring those respective municipalities to sign on to the 10 share principle. So I think we'll get there. So also regarding training, any updates on training, chiefs?
As far as Kankakee City,
I'm sorry, before Myron.
I've been thinking, there's been times when the cameras weren't on, and there was a situation behind that, like the cop forgot to turn it on. I'm wondering, do they come on automatically, or is there a button they push? Because sometimes in the heat of the moment, they may not think to turn it on, and that could go against the cop or the person they're interacting with.
Any questions regarding that? Yeah.
well, they'll go on if the lights in the car are on, they'll go on. Otherwise, yeah, the officer's responsible for turning them on.
And that was a bigger problem early on, I think. It was a training issue, and I would have been the same way. It's something we never did before.
Yeah.
And all of a
I
sudden.
think those have kind of gone away just with time, just because now it's almost part of your whole process.
But it does happen, and when it does, I mean, obviously, there's a question, right?
Yes.
Why didn't the cop have his body cam on? So it still happens with us sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be, I mean,
I mean,
yeah, in the
especially-
jail, so our guys don't have them on, they're not powered on recording when they're walking through the jail. They record when they interact with an inmate. And there are times where you've got 100 things on your mind and you forget. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Undersheriff?
No, I was just going to say, the hardest part of the transition was the current officers that had to get used to it. We have so many new officers now. This is all norm to them. It's complete norm, so you don't see that. There are a couple calls where our batteries have gone dead, that we've had to document that, or a mechanical issue, whatever, with the camera, but we document it as soon as it happens, because they'll come out, and they'll say it verbally, like low battery, whatever. So it's documented, but the transition, we have so many new young officers now on the streets, it's just the norm for them to wear them now, and they're so used to it that they're working well.
Jim?
There's also a number of times when a law enforcement officer can be interacting with the public and is not required to activate the body cam, like in a community caretaking. So there can be an interaction where it starts out as a community caretaking, it could escalate, something could happen, and that camera wasn't activated. So there's going to be interactions between police and civilians that are not captured on body-worn camera, and that's completely aligned with state statute.
Good. So are we up regarding training? City, college, Mantino?
We're all in compliance with the Illinois Training Standard Board. We're actually doing our use of force this month, use of force training, so, but yes, we're in compliance.
College?
Yes, 100%.
Mantino?
Yep, the state keeps a very close eye on it, so there's really no option not to be in compliance.
And the county?
Yes, we actually, we had a retirement of our, who was responsible for our training, Bob Lowy. And within the last couple months, we appointed a new person to replace him. And he is up to date. We are up to date on all of our mandated training.
Okay. So item C is a question. It was an email, actually, Steve. It came from Bob Moore. Bob Moore is the chairman of the state NAACP Criminal Justice Committee. And in Sangamon County, and there's a few other counties in that area, have been questioned regarding the consent to search with traffic stops. So are we facing any of those concerns here? Jim?
The biggest change lately is that the Supreme Court has now ruled that the mere smell of cannabis cannot justify the search of a vehicle. That has not been an issue in our county. There were some early cases coming out of other districts, appellate districts, probably 2 or 3 years ago, where we saw this coming. We figured this is going to be how the court would rule. So I think we've done trainings, at least for a couple years now, with all the departments, that we would not file a case or prosecute a case if the basis of the search was smell alone. So what that means is the officer has to be able to articulate not only that he smells marijuana, but some observations. Could be furtive movements by a suspect as you're approaching the vehicle. Could be you observe shake or cannabis residue or drug paraphernalia in the vehicle. Some signs of impairment, but we required in this county scent plus for at least the last 2 or 3 years. And our judges have held us to that standard as well. Judge Elliott, Judge Cunnington, Judge Dickinson. So, I mean, the ruling is what the ruling is from the Supreme Court. I think it makes it more difficult for law enforcement to get guns off the street, because when you smell marijuana, that is a sign of something, right? There's either marijuana in the vehicle or the driver recently smoked marijuana. That would normally lead to a search, and officers would find firearms, if not other narcotics. They don't have that ability to do that anymore. So, I think in some ways that's not the best ruling, but that is the law now. So, our county's been following this for a couple of years, and I think most of our officers, maybe not our new ones, but most of them have been trained in this.
Okay. So with item D, the original committee we had was Mr. Hunter, Lieutenant Mason, and Chief Swinford, and the sheriff. So our next meeting, can you check the 19th? Not the 12th. That's the chief. 26. So our next meeting will be, the 12th is the NAACP birthday, so that's February 12th. So we're looking at the 26th of our next meeting. So Sheriff Downing, Mr. Hunter, Lieutenant Mason, Mr. Swinford, and we have Dr. Calvin who have joined us. We need to go back and revisit. That was 10 years? How long were we saying at the community college? How long ago? When we signed the 10 shared principles. What's the date on that?
2020, I think. 2020, 2021.
2020. Just 4 years ago?
Maybe
No.
21, 3 or 4.
When we all met at the Oh, wow. So, okay. So we need to just revisit that. I know the sheriff had the little palm cards where new officers in Sangamon County, and there was one other police department up around Lake County. Each one of their officers each day have to review the 10 shared principles upon going on their patrol. Meaning that the chief there felt that it's just a constant need to remind the officers. So I think we need to probably revisit that. Not whether we have to re-sign it, but maybe just another refresher of what the 10 shared principles are regarding those 10 shared principles. And Dr. Calvin, are you doing any of the body cam training, anything regarding traffic stops and 10 shared principles in your class? Any of those 4 items in your class, are your students being addressed, or? Doctor, can you talk into the mic? I'm sorry.
So for the body cams, we have not done a lot on body cams. No, and we haven't done any research, nor have we done any trainings on it. But we have been talking about search and seizures and traffic stops, and like I said, the warrants. Writing warrants. The 10 shared principles we have gone over with students, and it's posted largely in the class also. So
Lieutenant, you know if Professor Stroud doing anything at ONU?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
I know she's aware of the 10 shared principles. We talk about that because we share interns with other departments, so. She has guest speakers in all the time, so that'd be something good to bring to her.
Okay. So regarding hiring, thanks, Doug.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you. So are we hiring? County?
We are actively hiring in the corrections division, so please spread the word. You can contact our office. You can get our applications for the jail, but we are actively searching for individuals who are looking for a career in law enforcement. The pay is really good. In fact, they're negotiating a new contract right now, so they got good pay, good benefits, and I mean awesome bosses. I mean, come on.
Awesome. City?
2 in the academy. We got 3 slated to go in January, so that'll be 5 new officers. So yeah, we're hiring for sure.
KCC?
Not currently, but the next 6 months. Not currently, but the next 6 months, yes.
Mantino?
We have 1 in the academy as well, 2 going in January and 1 going in May.
So how does those respective agencies look regarding diversity? Are we getting a lot of black? No.
No.
So that brings me to
Two, I will say 2 of the last 4, we've hired 2 Hispanics. But we have had our last list, our last test, our last interviews, we had no African Americans apply. I think the last 2 times we tested.
And just to piggyback on that is not from lack of trying, because we've contacted Mr. Pace, Mr. Hunter, to get the word out throughout the communities. Our Facebook page, we've done everything we can through the KCCs, the Olivets, just to try to start beefing up the diversity, but we're lacking that on the police side. On the corrections side, we're getting diversity.
You getting what?
We have
Diversity,
diversity, yeah. We have
yes.
a lot of minority
Mhm.
applicants. I should say we don't have any, our current one in the academies, but we would like to see more for sure, and that's why we've reached out to you guys for some help on that.
So we also are aware that at the academy, that those individuals are also getting exposed to the 10 shared principles while they're at the academy. So that brings me to
One other thing on what the undersheriff said about, with the diversity in the corrections side and the lack thereof on the patrol side. One of the reasons, and he mentioned it earlier about the pay in corrections, if there is an individual who is working in corrections and has been there a couple of years, when he goes to be if he wants to transfer and be a deputy, they're 2 different contracts, so he or she ends up taking a pay cut. So a lot of people are saying, well, I don't want to take a pay cut. Or that too. But yeah, so that's another, that's another barrier.
We've hired, we've got 13 females. This group that we got going to the academy right now, it's 1 African American. We actually have a good diverse group on our hiring list, and one that's in the academy right now is Hispanic. So we're actually really happy with our progression in this. So we've done well.
Not hearing that stat, we'll start sending applications.
So, right. So that brings me to another conversation that we have actually had in this room. In talking to Bob Moore again, I can't think of the jurisdiction of the branch of the NAACP here. Undersheriff, you remember we've talked about, and Lieutenant Mason, about really recruiting our own 6th, 7th graders. And so there's one municipality that's actually with their respective school district is focusing a little more on law enforcement to get the students acclimated to law enforcement. So do we think we're back at that juncture that we don't need that?
Melvina being out at the college now, that's going to be a big push for all of us, because she's going to be intercepting them as they come in, and hopefully she can, keep them local and push them our way, especially in the city of Kankakee. So.
Good. Mr. Hunter? And
Don't forget the other departments, Melvina.
No.
followed by Deputy Chief.
Just got a inquiry, and I know Sheriff Downey and I discussed this recently regarding the immigration posture for the next administration, and wondering also, with the absence of ARPA funds, the Biden dollars, how might that impact the county and the other jurisdictions? Because I know you have benefited immensely from the Biden ARPA dollars, and it is in improve the quality of services for the sheriff's department in terms of equipment and other stuff vehicles and all that stuff. How might that impact you in the future? Because I don't see any revenue streams that may be able to address, the things that you've benefited from with the ARPA Biden dollars.
Well, yeah, obviously that's going to be a factor probably in every municipality, including the county. But we've been down that dark hole 10 years ago or so. I don't think anybody plans to go back. So it's going to be, as far as revenue streams, I mean, we'll continue to house and continue to bring in $8 to $10 million a year. But there's just not a lot of room to make that number bigger after you get past about $11 million. So hopefully there's other things that happen that we can, as a county, and I'm sure, like I said, the municipalities are in the same position. They all got a lot of ARPA money as well, and they're going to be dealing with the same things.
Immigration. What do you know? Anything more to report? Possibilities?
None.
You've taken some initiatives already.
Not in Illinois. Yeah, we've reached out because the criticism that we got for the 5 years that we housed them here, or the 6 years, was that we're picking up Joe businessman who's never done anything wrong, which wasn't accurate. I think both ICE, I think they have to do a better job of identifying who they want to pick up and who they want to remove from the country. I mean, I think that's going to be key to any sort of credibility when the mindset out there, I think, and I know, Natalie, you're tied in with a lot of them because we've talked about a couple who are going through some issues now. But I think, I don't think anybody plans to go after somebody who's here with no criminal record, hasn't done anything, but, the gangbangers, these groups that are going around, these mobs that are going around to these stores, the felons, the murderers, the ones they've identified as having criminal backgrounds, those are the ones that they're going to go after. Whether or not we get to house them in Kankakee is a whole nother, layer of legislation, which probably isn't going to happen. But, we're still following ICE guidelines in our housing, so we're ready if they decide.
Deputy Chief.
Yeah, thank you, President Pace. So I will attribute our current list demographics to our recruitment efforts. Our current recruitment list consists of pretty much 50% minority. We have multiple African American males and Hispanics on that current list. And what we did is we established a recruitment team that encompassed Dr. Calvin and several others. They would go to different schools and different events, and also pass out our publications. Another thing that we're doing is in the high school, we started our teen police academy. And in that, we expose the high school students to aspects of the Kankakee Police Department and encourage them to go to the Career Center and enroll in the law enforcement program there. So once they end up in the law enforcement program at the Career Center, then many times they enroll at KCC as law enforcement students. Another thing that we've done is basically grow our own. So many of our new police officers are Kankakee High School students, Bishop McNamara students, Olivet students, and a few KCC students. So many of those officers, this is years in the making. Many of those officers that we have that are new hires are all officers that were exposed to the Kankakee Police Department in a positive way sometime in their adolescence. So that's the way we have kind of grown our own, and that's what we continue to do to try and cultivate a diverse police department.
Dr. Kelvin?
Just to piggyback on that, I just want to let you guys know that a lot of our students at KCC right now currently are not 21 years old. So I have about 30 or 40 of them. They are not 21 years old. So in the next year or so, you're going to have a lot of them on your list. They will be testing. Also, I wanted to let you know that we are planning right now. I've already had the save the dates for May 7th. May 7th is the KCC Law Enforcement Day. I'm doing it a little bit different than past law enforcement days. I am inviting everyone from the community and other communities also. I'm trying to get in between 100 to 150 police departments there also, but I am trying to advertise it out to other communities also, so that way if they want a job, they can actually come and they'll have a space to where they can go through all the departments also. So I wanted to let you know that.
Dr. Kelvin,
You only have to be 18 to work at the jail.
I have a lot of students that are looking into the jail.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Oh, that's so city. That's his way to get ups on you guys. Dr. Calvin, question: with those 30 students, is that an increase in your class load?
Oh,
or-
yes.
It
yes,
is.
Yes, we didn't
Good.
have a lot of students,
Okay.
and we have a lot. I'm thinking we're going to have a lot more for spring also.
Good, good.
I've gone hands-on with everything to make it a little bit more enticing for them to come in, and they've been talking to other students. And then we have some students that are switching from with policing, with law enforcement. They're also trying to do the EMT or nursing also, which is good. We'll take those students also.
Good. We have about 10 to 12 minutes. To the two new visitors, before we get to our state's attorney, cyber security, right?
Yes, sir.
So what prompted you to get into the cybersecurity piece and the class with our state's attorney, Mr. Rowe?
I'm actually not in his class, sir.
Oh.
He's in his class. I was
Oh.
his ride to here. And
Oh,
I was
so
interested
oh.
in.
So no extra credit for you. Okay.
That's transparency.
So you are in the class.
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. So how are things going in the class?
It's pretty rough. I think we might need a new professor. No, it goes well. I really appreciate having him as a professor. He shows great care in what he talks about, and a lot of people in his class really look to him for advice and where to go next with their life in this career.
Okay, so I actually thought both of you guys was in his class. So, Mr. Rowe, that takes us to a conversation that the sheriff and I've had in the past week regarding Deputy Sheriff Sean Grayson out of Sangamon County. So, what is the pretrial piece there?
With that case, Sean Grayson is charged with the murder of Sonia Massey. At this juncture of the case, the court was not looking at guilt or innocence. They were looking at whether Grayson should be detained pending trial under the Safety Act. And the Safety Act has really changed the detention equation. It has a higher standard now. It used to be probable cause. Now you have to meet a clear and convincing standard, which is more difficult for the prosecutor. But what the issues are that the court really considers at this stage, the detention stage, is a balancing of the dangerousness that the defendant poses versus the ability to mitigate that dangerousness through conditions of pretrial release. So if you agree that he's dangerous, are there things that they can do short of detention that would allow him to remain in the community without posing a threat to public safety? In this detention hearing, the state did not present any evidence of any criminal background of Sean Grayson. Presumably, there wasn't any. I have to imagine if there was, they would have brought it up, but he was still a sworn law enforcement officer. I can't imagine that there was any significant background. And then the second part was they made no presentation really on the violent nature of the offense. You know, the defendant, maybe strategically, had conceded that there was enough evidence to at least establish probable cause for the murder charge, so that wasn't at issue. All that was at issue is he dangerous, and can that dangerousness be mitigated if he's released? The dangerousness findings that the state argued in the trial court found, one was that he had violated his oath as a sworn police officer. He had given directives to other law enforcement officers to not render aid, that he hadn't activated his body-worn camera until after the shooting. The trial court relied on those factors to say that he would not, he poses a danger, that behavior is certainly concerning, and he would not be able to mitigate the dangerousness through any conditions of release. The appellate court reversed that. And what the appellate court said is that, you know, trial court, you said he violated his oath as a sworn police officer, but there's no risk of him doing that again because he's no longer a police officer. So that risk is mitigated. He gave directives to other law enforcement officers not to render aid. Horrific that he did that. But the appellate court said there's no risk of that occurring again because he's no longer in a position of supervisory authority over other officers to give directives because he's not a police officer anymore. That risk is mitigated. And then they said that when the trial court said because he didn't activate his body-worn camera, that would give them concern about whether he would activate his GPS monitoring device, the appellate court said that's not a concern because you don't turn on and off a GPS monitoring device. It's always activated. So the appellate court said that neither the prosecutor nor the trial court were able to articulate any concerns or dangerousness of the offender that were not able to be mitigated. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't any. That just means that what was presented to the court and what the court relied upon have all been mitigated. And effectively they can, because he can't engage in those behaviors because he's not a police officer anymore. But it's a shame they didn't maybe consider some of the other circumstances or facts of the case.
So thanks for that quick summary. So the second piece of that would be Ojeda, Hunter, myself, Paulette, Myron, and Rhonda, who makes up the response team, if I miss anyone. So currently, when I leave here, I got to make a phone call, because if that happened here, our response team would be out and about because they are having incidents of unrest in Springfield. And so that's, again, why our response team continue to have Deputy Baston training, the relationships that we have in this room, because Donna Sample would always say, Hunter, when it happened, and I think when it happened, we'll be ready for those type of civil unrest or incidents that would happen in Kankakee County. So I'll be talking to President Randolph, again, Robert Moore, who from DOJ, and who is our state criminal justice person, because they might not have the information and really understanding what you just stated in the conversation that Sheriff Downey and I had regarding that, because a number of people did not know of the pretrial or that he would be upcoming being released.
Yeah, in this decision, the appellate court's not saying that Sean Grayson does not pose a threat to the public. What the appellate court is saying, based on the information that was presented to the trial court and the trial court's findings, based on that information alone, the state cannot meet the legal standard of clear and convincing to detain this individual. That doesn't mean that there cannot be a subsequent hearing where they present more facts to the trial court and seek detention.
Yeah. So, so any 30 seconds, a minute, anything, Mr. Hunter?
This is something I usually bring up every meeting, and the sheriff, says no. But Jim, I'm going to give this to you. I know that when you read the newspaper, et cetera, about some of these things that some of these criminals, the crimes they commit, they're let out the next day. there are certain actions or criminal acts that some of these people commit, and they're not held for an extended period of time. Can you tell me, Jim, if there's anything else that might be done in terms of any amendments or new rules or regs or laws that may enhance the Safety Act?
You know, the best way they could improve that on the detention issue is to give judges the discretion to detain violent offenders or people who pose a risk to public safety, instead of only deciding these certain offenses are eligible. You know, you may have seen the new state's attorney in Cook County. She released a list of offenses that they're now going to seek detention on. That is still not an exhaustive list. If she listed 20, there's 40 that she could have listed. In our county, if an offense is eligible for detention under the Safety Act, we file a petition to detain every single time. So if it's on the possible to detain list, we're seeking to detain that individual. If it's not possible to detain them under the law, then we're seeking conditions of pretrial release. In Cook County now, it's great. You know, they've added 20 to a list that was probably previously 0, but it's still not exhaustive. So you're still going to have people who commit serious crimes and get out. And we're going to have that here because we can't detain people for every serious crime. So you can either try to piecemeal it and say, well, someone that solicits sex with a kid should probably be detained, but the law doesn't allow it, so let's add that to the list. Or you can give the discretion to the courts, right, to the state to seek detention, to the trial court to detain someone who poses a risk to public safety, and then they still have that quick appellate review. You know, this one went up real quick, and the appellate court ruled on it very quickly. That process would still be in place. So if someone disagrees with the judge detaining them, let the appellate court sort it out. That's how every other process in the criminal justice system works, except under the Safety Act. So the best way is let judges be judges, let prosecutors and defense attorneys be advocates for the public and for their clients, let the appellate court hear the appeals, but stop tying, you know, law enforcement and the state's hands behind our back. Like, we're constantly going into these fights with one hand tied behind our back. And the only ones suffering, you know, are the people that are the next victim and the next victim and the next victim of these repeat offenders.
So it's safe to say that this meeting, response team, law enforcement meeting that we have, the training that the response team members are getting is a constant reminder of the relationship that we have here. And those 30, 40 individuals are at least well informed, where if nothing else, Rhonda and Donna, Debbie Case, who's not here, can go back and share information, because I've learned a few things just talking to the sheriff in the last week in your quick summary. So again, I will be reaching out to Springfield just to find out what's going on there. And Mason, Swinford, the sheriff, Hunter, and Deputy, no, not deputy, but doctor, we'll have some report for our 26th meeting in February that we can, how we're going to revisit the 10 shared principles. All right. So with that, it's 1:02, and get a motion for adjournment. And happy holidays, Mr. Mason, second by Chief Springer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Happy holidays, everyone. Enjoy.
Thank you.